So that's how I like to work. And I like to give like the characters for me have a life of their own. So once I wrote their backgrounds on how they are, I know how they are, and I can picture them compared to like how would that character if he was a like Nick. He's kind of like a Sons of Anarchy type of vampire, and I based his kind of personality a bit on Lobo. And originally, when I wrote this book, it was a long time ago. Like when I wrote the first script, it was a long time ago. I only just finally now actually started making it into something. But The Boys, the show didn't exist. But if it did, I would say Nick is kind of like Butcher. And Nick is the main vampire in book 1. And he disappears in he's not in book 2, but he does make a big return in books 3, 4. So I'm not going to tell you which one he appears in, but one of them. Well, he's definitely on the cover of book 4. You can see him. He's dead center on the cover of book 4.
Spoilers.
So, but anyways, like when I put myself in, like, okay, what would like Jax from Sons of Anarchy? How would he react to this, or how would Lobo react to this, or how would Butch? Like in my head, because I'm not thinking of it like that blatant. I'm just kind of trying to put the subconscious happening into words, right? So they might say things that some people would take as like, oh, the writer's homophobic. I was like, I'm not homophobic. I was like, Nick said something, and even what because there was one comment he makes in book 1 that somebody says that somebody made a comment that they like the writer might be homophobic. And absolutely, it's not even an inch of that. He thought I'm homophobic.
You have to have some license to make like bad people do bad things. You know?
Yeah, but it's not even. He doesn't even make I could see what people could take it as homophobic, but it's
not even the intent. Okay.
He refers to. Because him and Casper, these are the two vampires. They're like biker like vampires, like Sons of Anarchy type of characters, right? That's what they're like. They don't ride bikes, but that's their attitude, their personality. Tough guys, right? Tough, cool guys. And those vampires don't think much of vampires that are like Bram Stoker's Dracula or Twilight. They don't think much of these romances, these heartthrobs. They don't. Right? Like that personality, right? They're soft. Yeah. They're like hardcore bikers. They don't care for these pretty boys, kind of like heartthrobs. They're not. That's not them. So at one point, Jack starts like crying or pretending to, or whatever. Like he's being emotional, and Nick says something like, "Oh no, you don't turn forest fairy on me, you wuss." And Jack's like, "Forest fairy," and the Casper explains vampires that feel. But that term forest fairy, people thought that was like one person at least thought it was homophobic. But it was like, no, this is a world where forest fairies actually exist.
It wasn't a slur. It was.
And to a big biker, well, it could be like it is. I guess it is a derogatory term for a vampire, but you're comparing it to in that world, a forest fairy is actually like a small little fluttery thing in a forest. They're an actual forest fairy, just like Tinkerbell, right? And it's like. It's not my fault that in our world those terms have been used in homophobic ways. That wasn't my intent. I'm actually comparing them to actual other things in that world. And even if it was meant to be a homophobic comment, I'm not homophobic. Nick would be.
The character.
The character would be. It's like I could write a story about like a crazy murderer rapist. And write as the crazy murder rapist, but I'm not a crazy murderer rapist, right? Like you have to be able to write back and just let it go. Not everybody's good. Not everybody's going to walk on eggshells. Not everybody does walk on eggshells around everything. And Nick and Casper are definitely people that do not walk on eggshells. So can I have their characters being soft or appearing soft? There might be characters that work in that. That'll be or do that, but that would be part of their character.
And I think there's a difference of like having those characters act a certain way, say certain things that aren't appropriate, let's say, but if it's different when it's celebrated. I think that's the idea, right?
Yeah,
it's like if you're putting them up being like this is the way you should be, well, then maybe there's a problem. But if
it's different if it's a book about like I'm just going to slaughter non-white people and make it look like a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, oh, these guys are the real heroes.
Yeah, that's exactly. It's the intent. Right?
Like I wouldn't even feel comfortable writing that. Like if I had a character that was like that, he'd definitely be the bad guy, and he'd be painted in a bad light, and everybody would
right?
hate him. Like he'd be the ultimate evil. So
Yeah,
it's
there,
just
there has to be
anyways.
room for interpretation and all that. But
Yeah, look at Walking Dead. Look at what's his name,
yeah,
Negan. Negan from The Walking Dead. He's that guy's a dick. I don't think Robert Kirkman is anything like
well,
Negan.
yeah. I mean, you could go down the whole thriller shelf at at your bookstore, and if you were to hold any of those authors to the same standards that sometimes comic folks get held to, right? Like it would be you
Yeah,
put all of them in jail. Like James Patterson would be jailed immediately for some of the stuff that's in his books, right? Like yeah, it's Jeff Lindsay with Dexter, right? Like it's your that actually kind of goes against what I was saying. You're celebrating the serial killer, but he has a heart of
yeah.
gold, so it's okay.
Well, it's okay because he
Yeah, he
killed
kills
bad
bad
people.
people. So
Full circle to our Craven conversation. The bad guys are celebrated because they kill bad people. Bad guys can kill bad people,
yeah,
and they're
as long as
heroes.
they're better in being bad, right?
So
So
two negatives do
yeah,
equal positive.
somehow it does. So yeah, so I think there has to be some leeway. And again, I think it's like yeah, your example of like yeah, if you're celebrating the the wrong nature of things, then yeah, maybe you maybe that's something to worry about. But yeah, if somebody's saying something offhand and it's within their character to do so, then yeah, I think that's fair game. I don't think that's a problem. But um,
I also don't, but I also think there's just a lot of people that are overly sensitive, and I don't think that's the majority of people. I just think it's the majority of people
yes,
online. The majority of people that leave comments, I think, tend to jump on topics. Like there's those people that just tend to jump on things and they want to attack. They want to be noticed, and like my life is only fulfilled if I make somebody else
yeah.
feel like crap.
Well, I think you came up with
Uh,
a great example earlier in this conversation, which is you use the AI, Dolly, to kind of make your point with your words, right? Like this is the visual I'm trying to represent, and I can't find a reference on Google Images to show you, so let me make one without like sending you my stick figures. Um, I know there's at least a handful of folks online that was just no AI at all. You pretend it doesn't exist. You don't use it even in a form where an
you're
artist is
not gonna
getting paid to do their job nonetheless, right?
what I thing is like with AI art, it's like I
Hmm.
understand because like I used some AI tools in for one cover of variant cover
Hmm.
for book one, and I say AI tools because I don't even remember what site it was. I tried so
Right.
many different because I'm big into like
Hmm.
new tech, right? And I was like, oh, this is something I could try out. I'm so fascinated by the technology. Like you can't deny it's great technology. You can hate it, but it's amazing. Like it can do some
Yeah,
amazing things. And so I was playing with it, and I found one site. Can't for life remember what it's called though, because I probably used like 50 of them. The and you can put in like a rough sketch, like what we're seeing here being drawn on screen, and you could Frankenstein like a head of a person and an arm and a thing, and be like, draw this and color it like this, and like so it takes your outline, things you
hmm
piece together, and it makes it one takes your Frankenstein ransom letter looking like person and made an image out of it. And I had to keep going back and forth with that. I had to do a little photoshopping at the end because things were still a little
yeah,
crazy. But at the end, like I used it as a tool to create this image. And I know a lot of people were like, "Bah, AI art," and I was like, "Okay, I understand that you're upset and that people are sensitive about it. I'm more aware of it now than when I did the cover originally because I don't surf the internet looking for
sure.
topics. I don't. I just look at the
That's a
internet for
healthy
anything I
way to
need
live.
to.
Yeah.
I don't look for anything to talk to. I just look for things I
Yep.
need to know. So if I need to learn how to do something, I go on YouTube. If I want to buy something, I'll go to Amazon, look for that thing. I don't just scroll looking for people things
Yep.
to bitch about. So and like I don't get any enjoyment out of that. Like I don't get enjoyment out of gossip. Like it's not really
That's
my
healthy.
bag.
That's good. Yeah.
So and So when people were like no AI, I was like, okay, all right, I get it. So I didn't do any AI covers for this round for three
Mhm.
four. I didn't. All drawn. And the thing is, by buying that cover, you're not there's not an artist losing money. I actually tried to pay an artist, but it didn't
Mhm.
happen. Like they dropped out, so I decided, well, I was playing with AI anyways. I'll just use what I was playing with, tighten it up a bit. Like I went back to this thing because I started with it, and then I went back to it, polished it up, and put
Yeah.
it as a cover. And but it's like the artwork inside, the writing, it's all the same work that went into all the other ones. And Marco's got paid for all of them. So like all the artists who worked on it, everybody got paid. This one cover is not because I was just trying something different. It was new
Yeah, as an
tech. I was trying
experiment.
it out, and
Right?
once I got the feedback, I was like, well, okay, it's done. I won't
Yeah.
do it in the future. But I don't. I'm not taking back. I'm not going to necessarily apologize. I was just trying something new, and I'm all up for paying artists. Like I argued for paying artists more at our studio. I have nothing against that. But
Yeah, it's
but
tough.
at
Like
some
I think there you can't be absolutist about everything. I mean, like right now you're seeing my messy basement, but when this goes out for the world to see, I will have my nice AI generated background. The art won't be AI generated, but the background, the cutting out of me, I didn't do by hand. So
Well, the thing is, like, I guess there's different ways to look at it. It's like you look at it as like a tool. I think what people are looking at it is they like you're taking like food out of artists' mouths. Like these artists
yeah.
aren't getting paid, but there are people out there that are using it to do some projects of theirs that they could never afford an artist anyways. Like I'm lucky that I could afford an artist
Hmm.
to pay him. I say afford. I'm in debt trying to pay Marco and to
Sure.
pay everybody. So afford is I'm using that term loosely. But like if you're like a teenager at home and you want to get a story out, you want to share something, and you can't draw, and you have no friends to draw, and you have no money, does that mean you can't play with this technology to do something? Is creating a book only for people that have wealth or some sort of money? Like that's how I kind of look at it as well. Like I'm in a place where I can make a decision, but I can see both sides of the argument. Like I see
I
both
I
sides.
think I think there's a line somewhere in there, right? Like you can certainly do that, and I think it's when people are
Like I don't think big companies should
sorry.
be. I'm like I don't think big companies should be like people that can afford
Yeah,
to
and I
do
think
it should
that's what
necessarily.
people are concerned about, right? Like I don't think they're worried about the 14-year-old who has an idea and it was either stick figures or they whip something together with this just to get their idea out there, right? I think it's they're worried that DC Comics no longer hires artists because they have a
Yeah.
cool machine that Warner Brothers handed them, right?
Well, here's one situation I get into. Was when I was promoting the first book. I was trying to come up with a bunch of little small square ads, things to share, and I made a bunch of ads using Marco's artwork, original artwork from the book, and I framed up these nice little ads, and I paid to
Hmm.
share them out. And then there was one I wanted to do where it was like I wanted a girl sitting on the subway reading a comic book, and I was like, oh, I have access. So I was like, I have access to like what's that called? Like a photo library where you pay for stock
Yeah, like a
photography.
iStock
Like
photo
I
type
pay,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. So I pay for a stock photography service. It does a lot of things. Stock photography is one of them. So I was looking on that stock photography photo, girl reading book on subway or something, and I couldn't find one in the service I'm
Yeah.
already paying for. So I was like, I just need this one little photo so I can put it this ad. So I used like Dolly or something to do just a text. And I was like, girl sitting on there, and then I photoshopped my book into her hand, and like I fix it and I put it out as an ad, and I got so many replies on that being like you should pay an artist to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, well, if I use stock photography, an artist wouldn't be getting paid for this anyways. I couldn't find the photo I wanted, but I could have, like, if I kept looking at it, probably still like just use the Google image. But I was like, it's not my stock photography. I made it here, and I was like, I was never going to pay somebody like $200, $300, $400 to do this image of this woman on a bus for an ad that was going to run for 2 days and then it's throwaway. You'll
Yeah.
never see it again. I was like, I can't
Yeah.
afford that. There's no way I can afford it. I can't do that. So I just did it as a throwaway. And then people were against it. So I was like, all right, well, my other ads I won't use. And this guy was adamant saying like, you should use a, you have so much original artwork. Why don't you use your artist artwork? You don't respect your artist. I was like, well, case in point, I actually have 8 ads out. One of them is AI. 7 of them are all original artwork
Yeah.
from my artist. Mind you, this one ad with the AI artwork has got so many more comments, so much more engagement that Facebook or whoever I'm using Google is
Pumping
just
it.
going to
Yeah.
keep
Like
pumping out the
negative
same
engagement
one.
is still engagement, right?
You're
Yeah.
still helping it. They're just going to keep putting this one out. And I was like, you say it's the same, but it's not. Like, first of all, I'm getting more action on
Yeah.
more likes. Yeah, I might be getting some dislikes, but I'm getting way more likes on this ad than all my other ads. And they're all getting the
Yeah.
exact same treatment. It was actually like a bundle where you put it out, and then the algorithm figures out what it shares, which ones it shares. And it shared that one the most because that one got the most
Yeah.
reactions. So I was like, I did use it, but
The
nobody
incentive
responded
is
to that one. So what do
there.
I
Yeah.
do?
That's fair. That's I. Yeah. I get that. And again, I.
It's like I'm not. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy putting out a comic book. I'm not a company putting out a comic book. I can't afford somebody to do this thing. So, and it was again, it was one
Yeah.
of 8, and I just tried it out, and that just happens to be the one that stuck. So this time I'm not using it at
Yeah.
all because I was like, I understand. I understand people are sensitive. So I was like, I want to respect that people out there that have an
But there's
issue
got to
with
be
it.
some room for
So I'm like,
experimentation, right?
so I won't do it. But I like experimenting with things, and eventually, like this is, it's never going to go away. It's just going to get better, and then it's getting to a point where you're not going to be able to tell if it was
Yeah.
AI generated or not. Where right now you can. Um, but I also think there's going to be people that are going to come out this and use this as a tool to enhance their art.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's like there's
I don't know.
enough tools out there that already
Also,
do that kind of thing, right? Where it's a helping hand to someone who.
I've also I've also heard the argument because like it doesn't like it references art, references art,
Yeah.
recreates it, and there's like, well, that's what we do. It just does it so much
Yeah.
faster. Like I could draw like what's drawn right here. I could draw this myself, like by
Yeah. Yeah.
copying it. Do you know what I mean? Like I can just steal this image, stay here and just look at it, draw, look at it, draw, look at it, and that's what the AI is doing, but just
Yeah.
so much faster. So it's better than us in some ways. It's referencing us,
I
but
think
it's
that's
better than us in some ways, but
yeah. I think
better than
that's part of the
others.
concern too, right? Like
So,
yeah, that's a scary prospect. That
but yeah, again, I'm not supporting anything that is like I'm not. I'm just standing away from this. I'm just discussing because I'm a
yeah.
discusser. Anything that crosses my brain, I speak. So like I'm not on any. I don't even want in on this argument. I was like, if AI is an issue, I'm just gonna stand right back. I'm not gonna. I let you guys sort it out. Let the AI supporters, the AI haters. You guys can sort it out. I like much like I mentioned about Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I appreciate
The
the
concept of what's
technology of
happening. Yeah.
it. Do you know what I mean? So like I appreciate technology because we want, everybody wants a holodeck. How
Yeah.
do you think we're going to
Exactly.
get there? So it's going to be AI that's going to generate like your Marilyn Monroe fantasy or whoever you want. You know what I mean? Like they're going AI is going to recreate that. No, nobody's going to hand model that, and then you're going to have a bunch of people hating on that. Even though the same people who are hating on that are the same people who like they
Yeah.
really want a holodeck. But I was like, you think about it, that's
I think
it's what it
over time
is.
it'll definitely sort itself out. I think yeah, like you get people that are either too all in or too against. That those are always your loudest people, and then there's the mushy middle of people who appreciate that. Spell check is great. I don't want it to write everything for me. Sometimes I need to steer it
Yeah,
because it makes me say things I don't want to say, but I use spell check, right? So
I found sometimes for like if I'm because creative writing is my jam. When I have to write something that sounds professional, like a bio or like something that's like somebody in a suit is going to be reading, and I don't care for
yeah,
my humor in every comment. That then I'll go to ChatGPT. I need to say something like this, and it'll write me something. I'm like, okay, I can work with that, and I just rewrite it based on that. But I've never been able to. Yeah, so when it comes to creative stuff, never.
If you want to do the balloons, has to be
Yeah,
right.
let's do it. Let's get the. Okay,
Let's
so
go.
for dialogue, so normally I I give you the option to run with it. If you
That first one doesn't seem like it would have dialogue. Or no, maybe it would be, but it wouldn't be him. It'd be off screen because it looks like
okay,
he's looking at him. So it'd be more like put that down, or what are you doing in my room?
okay.
That type of thing.
So
You know what I mean?
would you
What are you
like
feeling?
to? Do you want me to type this out, or would you like to type it out in the chat, and then Roberto will do a copy paste?
Oh,
I'm
if you
happy
can
to
type it
type
out,
it
that'd
out.
be great. I have some sticky keys on my keyboard. I need
Oh,
to buy a new keyboard.
no worries. I got it. Okay, so for the first one, yeah. So the first one we got nothing, right? Like panel one.
Well, the first one I think it would be an off-screen thing, like, "Hey,
Okay.
what are you
Like,
doing?"
hey, what are you looking at?
You know, so it would be coming from the
Hey,
brother
what are you
that's off
doing?
screen. Yeah. What are you doing in my room? That establishes like, what are you doing in my room? Kind of establishes like he's somewhere he's not supposed to be, and it's not his room, and he's being sneaky. So it looks like he's taking something out rather than putting
Right
something
on.
in.
All right, so we got that. While he does our bubble for that one. Number two is,
Sure. And the next one,
or is
maybe
it?
a.
Okay, I'm not going to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Well, I was thinking like, okay, so the first one he's yelling out screen, and he's like, the next one would be, I think, would be the warning. Like, it would be good to have like something like put that down. You don't know what you're getting into, but if he worded it in such a way that it sounded like he was basically be like, put that down or else, and it almost seems like he's threatening him, but really it's more of a
Yeah,
warning. Do
yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Okay.
Something around that nature. And I can't think of, I don't know if put it down or else, like
Yeah,
that
that seems
seems
like
too
he's the
threatening.
bully. Maybe it's like put that
Yeah,
down.
so
Put that down. Dangerous. Put
like
that down.
I think too
It
dangerous
is
is
too on
too
the
on the
nose.
nose. Like it has to be like put that down because almost have to think like he's going to do
Yeah,
something or like he's
I
going to
think
tell
you're right with
mom.
the you don't know what you're doing.
So yeah,
Okay, put that down. You don't know. No. Ah, hanging on this one. Put that down.
yeah. So the other one, yeah, it would be something like, hey, what do you see? What are you doing? Um,
Put that down.
how about like
Mm-hmm.
if he says, how about it's like this? How about he says, so he just said, hey, what are you doing in my room? And the next round he's like, put that back, or and then you could do like the other bubble overlaps it, cuts him
Yeah,
off, and then he's like, oh, what? You're
yeah,
gonna tell
yeah,
mom?
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? So he doesn't even get. So it sounds like he's about to threaten him, but he never gets to say, or the portal monster will come out. Like you don't need to, you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah. I like that.
like he probably won't let him finish. So you do one of those overlapping
That's right. Yeah,
bubble
yeah.
things where it cuts off.
That
It's
works.
like put that back, or
Yeah, and then when he's holding it in the air, it's the you can tell mom,
yeah.
right?
Well, you could have like the or where you can tell mom could be in that same second panel, like his bubble overlapping, like he cuts him off, and then he's like, and then that third panel, that's when we can get to like give it back, and he's like, what are you gonna do about it? And that's the last when he does the next one he'll do the flip. I see two bubbles in the second one.
Okay. All right. So Roberto, yeah, we got. I put it in three, but the last two are in the same bubble there. I'll rewrite
And
it just
then
for simplicity's sake.
the third one. This is where I see the little brother saying like, I'm serious here. I put that down, or should we put that down or put that back?
Hmm. I like put that back. Yeah. Roberto, okay, we swap down for back. I think that makes sense.
And the next bubble will be like, or what? You gonna tell mom?
That works. And
And then again, that also establishes
yeah,
that they're
exactly. I
brothers,
like that.
not like roommates. And you want to go on to the third one?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
second
So
one's being
the
finished
third
here.
one.
So the third one, I feel like, let me see, put that back away to tell mom, and then the little brother could say like, "Give it," like what you would, like a
Yeah,
little kid would say,
yeah.
so like, "Give it," and he'd be like, "Come and get it, twerk," and then that leads right into the next panel where he's like, "Whop ham." I don't even think you need a text on that
Yeah,
on
I
that
like that.
second one, or on that third one. I mean, fourth one. Can't count. Counting's hard.
I
It's not
do
for
it all
everybody.
the time. Even on here, I'm usually like, okay, 1, 2, 3. We're talking about three. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think we got that, and then that last panel, the reveal. I guess we just do like a
Well, there could be like, so we have pedal one, so one, two, three, four. I don't think we need any text because that's the
yeah,
big flip. And then we could say something in the fifth panel,
yeah. What would you say?
which is this would be a
Yeah,
setup for
like
the
what do you
last
got in
one.
here? What are you hiding from me?
Yeah, that could be something like, let's see what you got in here or what you're hiding. Yeah, I think that's good. And then the little brother could be saying like,
Yeah.
no.
Let's see what you're hiding, and then no. All right.
How about like when he says, let's see what you're hiding? How about it's like, let's see what, I wonder if you could put a put down there. Like, see what you're
Oh
hiding,
yeah.
little weirdo.
All right. I like that.
And then the little brother's like, no.
Okay. Roberto, I'm just like filling the chat here. This is good. This is usually we struggle a bit. This one I think has come the easiest of all of them so far. Like, yeah,
Excellent.
it's been good. It's been good.
Oh, Roberto did good work putting this together.
Yeah, he's got the again the gestures in that like so very clear that it's right. Like you don't need too much, right? Like I
Yeah.
think you were saying like you like to go hyper detailed. I mean sometimes it almost gets in the way if you know what I mean. You overdo every panel. Though some artists are make their make their hay doing that, um, but yeah, it's in this format in particular. It helps to be able to really get it across with some minimal
Mhm.
detail, right?
Yeah, I think it's looking great.
Yeah, no, for sure, it's a good one, and it's a very relatable story. I feel like maybe not the ending, but the
Well, on the last panel, I don't know if we need to say
yeah, I
anything.
think it might kind of make the point with it with
It depends what his face looks like. Could we say like, should it be like the Big Brother? Should it be screaming? Should it be like an like a sound effect?
maybe maybe we'll let Roberto catch up with
Okay.
the balloon,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we'll
Let me catch.
we'll make a game time decision.
So just now, this is me learning from future, from past mistakes, not mistakes. I used to do interviews for
Yeah,
the video game industry, like as in, like people interviewed me for magazines because I was
right
in the
on.
industry for so long, and things would be they'd edit the interview so things would go out of context. I was like, I didn't say that. Well, I did, but not in the context that's here. So please, when you're editing this, don't make it seem like
Oh,
I'm pro AI.
I'm just cutting those bits out where it's like I use it all the time. I think it'll replace artists. That'll be it. That'll be the whole conversation.
Like, I just like I'd like to think that people can have a conversation about both sides of something without having to
Yeah,
stick to any like. I, I'm just like verbal, like everything that runs through my head. Like if you don't think about this, like I think
for
about
sure.
everything.
That's a good way to live.
I could talk about the most messed up things. Doesn't actually mean I'm
Well, I think
pro
when you're having a
anything.
conversation like
Just
this too, like the context helps. So I would be very careful, like cutting it for Instagram or TikTok or anything like that. Like Yeah, that's a good spot where things can easily be pulled out of context. Because I think the context you're making is
Just yeah. AI should replace all
there you
artists
go.
or something.
Thank you for the clip.
That clip,
Yes.
like, oh, there goes, there goes my career.
Yeah, exactly. No, I understand what we were navigating to, which is, it's a tool to be used to help us do the job, right? It's not
Yeah, and I think like it can be used, but like if people aren't ready for it, then like don't force it on them.
exactly, exactly,
Just let things happen. Just
right?
see
Where
where
I
it
think, yeah,
goes.
and like you said, like there were some experiments in that, and then you see kind of the reaction. It's like, okay, I'll take a step back. Like maybe we're not there yet, or maybe like again, I think some of the concerns, like you made a perfect example with the ads, right? Like when we're talking about comics and that, people are really hardcore because again, artist community makes a lot of sense, right? That don't use any AI art because if you're selling a comic, you shouldn't use AI art. Sure, fine, granted, makes some sense, but it's used elsewhere a lot. So, so we're kind of just at like to our own detriment, just saying like, okay, like we're gonna pretend it's not happening because I don't want to upset the people I'm actually trying to court, but it's not going anywhere, right? Like, so
And you know where it comes in handy is like if you're doing a thumbnail in Photoshop and you're like, I want to zoom out further, but I don't have any
yeah,
photo and my background and stuff. You can just select it and say fill, and AI was like, boop, and it generates something and just fills it in. So it's like, oh, you finished my brick wall for me, so I
yeah,
can zoom out
exactly,
further. Like there's so many
right?
reasons
Like
for it,
like I mentioned, like the background on our little windows
and that's just
here,
a shortcut.
right? Is
Yeah, like, I could be like, using the, copy and paste and stamp tool and clean that all up, but why? I don't need to do that. Like, I just,
to what
it's like,
end? Yeah,
like doing it manually was my job, and now using AI to do it
yeah,
is my job.
exactly.
So, like, I'm still getting paid regardless. I'm using the AI to do my job
Yes, and
easier.
now you're freed up to do the other things
So,
that are important. Is the whole idea, but
because yeah, the Photoshop stuff is pretty. Sometimes it's like garbage, but to clean up things like little, like remove this, you just like, I was like gone. I
right.
was like, oh,
So
that's
I think
great,
I think that's where we're
great
headed with
job.
all of it. But again, yeah, I think there's a little bit of hysteria in terms of how far it's going to go, what it's going to replace. It's just another tool.
It's when change comes on this fast, people tend to
That's
freak
exactly
out.
it. We don't know where it's going to land, so everyone's assuming the
Yeah,
worst. Where, you know, I don't think you can replace what Roberto did here, right? Not at least not
no, I don't,
today.
like right now, you're not replacing artists to do like yeah, you could put out a board game and do all the card art on AI, but once people figure that out, then you got to risk that there's going to be a lot of
Yeah,
backlash on that, right? But like you could do that, but most companies I know still like hire artists. Like I know a lot of people who run companies. I don't know any of them who use like AI exclusively to like
exactly.
replace their artists. I know companies that have artists in them that use AI to enhance their
Yes,
work, but they are paying an artist to use this tool to enhance their work. So what's going on there? That artist has a job or can do his job
that's
better
that's
because of
that's
this.
the. I think that's where this all lands eventually, right? People are worried about replacement. I don't know if it's going to be a replacement or if it's just going to be a refinement of people's jobs, right? So I don't know. Well, it's hard to say. Yeah,
It'll shake
I
itself
think
out.
so.
It'll all shake
But
itself out. We'll all be in a good
all that
place.
said, yeah, we got it signed. We got it completed. So
That's excellent, Roberto. You did
yeah,
an excellent job.
yeah,
That
you're
was
you're
awesome.
muted if you want to unmute.
Like, I've got my
Yeah,
work speaks for itself.
that's
Nothing more to
confidence.
say. Take that, AI.
That's a good button. All right. While he wrestles with the mute, I'm gonna do our little wrap up, which is to say, thank you very much for joining us. Yeah. So, another excellent piece of art with a story that came together way too easily and simple. Uh, it's you made it look easy, which was great. Um, yeah. And so again, I'm gonna speak for Roberto because he's trapped on mute, but you can find all his stuff at. Uh, Via Cava Roberto all over the socials. You can find his stuff at Green Iceberg Press. yeah, and instantinkpodcast.xyz is our website if you want to find links to all that stuff. I'm at Pesto Comics on everything, pestocomics.com. And Mark, let us know where we can find your stuff. You always got something going on. Let us know.
Yeah, I'm Board Game Coffee everywhere. So YouTube, Board Game Coffee, and most importantly, I'm So Called Living everywhere. Although this is a much smaller channel, and if you want to pick up your copies of So Called Living, check out Kickstarter. Late pledge is up there, and you can pick up your very own copy. Different kind of vampire story.
Right on. All right. And with that, thank you all very much. Oh, Roberto has one thing left to
It's
say. What is it? Love the dialogue and how it informs the characters' personalities. Yeah, it's really well written, and given you just kind of like whipped that out there, very impressed with how this all came out. Like, yeah,
great. I honor
yeah,
Roberto's end as well. That was really good. I think that came out together.
yeah,
We made a
yeah. This
good
is a
team.
great experience. Again, I don't think we've had one that's come out this clear. So yeah, kudos to that. Very well done.
Great. We can get together, just do a different YouTube channel where all we do is just throw
I like
stories
it. I
together
like
randomly,
it.
one big story.
At the very least, we'll most definitely have you back. And yeah, we'll meet in person soon because we're in the same circles. So yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah, yeah. I expect if Roberto does show up in Newmarket, that he's going to illustrate everything I say.
Yeah, we're gonna
So,
go speed drawing. That's the idea.
yeah, I expect you to follow me around and just draw.
Just on post-its, handing them out.
There's not,
Yeah,
this is all I know. This is all I know. This is what I expect. Yeah, my expectations are here.
be ready.
I'm not going to settle for just a hello.
Nice, nice.
So,
All right. So yeah. So with that, let's let's wrap things up. Thank you all for watching, listening, etc. We'll see you soon. Thanks.